I'm Vinay Bayer in conversation with Amit Chatterjee. Welcome to The Missing Link with Amit. Welcome to the show. Hi Amit.
Hi Vinay, good to be with you always.
Today's world being more global and the workforce establishing with various cultures and people working cross-culture and virtual meetings, I've noticed a factor of somewhere we Indians struggle to get along with cross-cultured scenarios of the demand sense or the workforce sense. What do you think is the missing link that we are not able to understand?
See, one of the things that we are different to in the current context of, as you said, the global supply chain, whether it is design, engineering, services, whatever. We work with the Japanese, the Koreans, the Americans, the Europeans. Is that our culture is not a very, we don't have very hard red lines in our habits of thinking. The sun rises in India almost every day, 300, if not 65 days, but 340 or 50 days at the same time. We're sure of it. So we always have this kind of assurance that we can do it tomorrow. Okay, whatever we could not do today for whatever reasons. Professional environment where we are dealing with commitments to be made, whether it is projects we are working on or whether you are simply, transacting about what information has to be shared, by when, and what quality, what quantity. So we have to give very clear commitments. And I think in our culture, to give a clear commitment is not for historical reasons, cultural historical reasons, is not something that we have to do every other day. We are more coming from this kind of philosophy that we should be honest. We should be honest about making our efforts. So we are more focused on the efforts rather than on the results. Whereas most of these countries that we work with, if you notice, there is a similarity. Most of these countries are cold countries. At least they have real winter, unlike India, and particularly the south of India where you and I live, has no winter. So, in cold countries, you have to be sure because, you don't even see the sun for days sometimes. A Britisher doesn't know whether it will rain or not, so he's always carrying an umbrella or a raincoat or whatever. So we don't have to plan for so much of disruptions on a day-to-day life level, for example. From a habit building point of view, yes, there are disruptions today from the workplace for sure, which is about knowledge, which is about competencies, and we have to keep on upgrading. That's a different issue. But as far as our habits are concerned of relating to people, interacting with people, we don't have the habit of giving very hard, clear commitments. And most of my friends from Europe, they always laugh about how we say yes or no. So we say, is that a yes or is that a no? So you know that, we find it difficult to say no. So I think
The fix is to say no, the art of saying no then.
yes, at least when you can't say a yes, it's okay is what is okay with us. But that's not there. In the working place, it's okay. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean either a yes or a no. So you have to say either yes or no. And when we are not able to say the yes, we find it very, very difficult to say no because we think saying no is being rude. But that's not what the colleagues or your associates from other parts of the world are looking for. They're looking for a clear commitment, yes or no.
Why do you think saying no is so hard for us? Why is that? Like, what are the factors which affects that?
We are a society which is still coming out of what one could say the kind of the archaic medieval kind of relationships where 2 or 3 generations lived under one roof. because it was agrarian society largely. And you know the word karta. So the karta of the house, of the family, was this headman, the father normally, or the grandfather, if he's alive. And we are taught for centuries or for generations that, you know, we should not talk back to our elders. We should not argue with our elders. And since our lives were governed by whatever this house was, the big house, where, you know, you have cousins, uncles, aunts, everybody living under one roof, we never got this habit of saying no. Okay? And you can say no when you have a clear understanding of what is your responsibility. You have a clear understanding of what resources you have, and you also have a clear understanding of what results you have to deliver as you as an individual, okay, with the resources that you have. Okay. Now, in an environment where there is one karta who is, almost an old man.
You mean to say the fear for him or fear towards him?
No, I wouldn't even get into the fear
of disappointing him.
It is like, you are part of a family and you are not alone responsible. Entire family is responsible for things. So if something is not happening for you, you will get taken care of by somebody. The uncle, the aunt, or the elder brother, the elder sister, somebody. So you don't have to so much worry about you either being held accountable or even holding yourself accountable, for example. So whereas in most of these countries which went through the Industrial Revolution and where the families got already disrupted, which we are seeing today in our society, and they started living separately, alone in different cities and towns, for example, because of jobs that they could get in the industrialized societies. They got the habit of being individually accountable quite a long time back. And most of our friends in Europe or in the US, they're probably in the second or third generation of being individually accountable. And in our country, in our society, even in the big cities, it is now that individuals who are working in the professional world, they are getting now slowly used to, first in the workplace, that they are accountable for what they decide, what they choose to do. And in the home, still kind of there are the remnants of the old habits that there are certain things untold as habits, that this is what the husband takes care of, this is what the wife takes care of, irrespective of the fact whether the husband and the wife or either of them work in a company or not, etc. So, and this is how the children have to behave with their parents, this is how they have to behave with their grandparents or the neighbors, the uncles and aunties. So we don't first name our neighbors, for example. Still, there is this respect which has been woven very deeply for elder people, and we are not supposed to say no to them. Even if you don't like to do that, but you're not supposed to say, you're considered a bad boy or a bad girl if you say no to an elder. So I think that's where this habit is coming. And therefore we feel that if we say no, for example, in the old days when I was sending our engineers or managers to Germany, and they used to always come back and say, they used to feel that these German colleagues were rude because they said 9. And I had to explain, because I learned this myself a bit earlier than that they were not being rude at all. They were actually just saying 9 because they couldn't say yes. I mean, if you ask somebody in India, said, okay, can you meet me on Saturday? Oh yeah, for sure. And then you start thinking, oh my God, okay, on Saturday I promised my mother to take her shopping. Yeah. And then you are in a dilemma whether you should still take your mother, or you meet your friend whom you said, yeah, it's okay. And what do we end up doing? We try to do both, and we compromise on both fronts. And then we say, oh, sorry, I already committed, etc.
Overcommitting.
So we overcommit in an environment where we are supposed to commit exactly. But in our kind of habits where we come from, it's not considered a commitment. It is considered, do I have the right intentions? Okay. Am I being respectful? That's more valuable, considered valuable by the habits of the society, rather than giving a commitment. Okay, we come from joint families. We come from this, everybody living under one big house, just 1 or 2 generations back. So we need to, you have to build those habits of, having to say yes and delivering on that, or having to say no, and because we have made other choices. We are society still, young at making choices. And because we did not go through the industrialization over the last 300 years, which most of the Western societies have gone, with whom we have to work today.
What are the benefits of saying no? Because saying no is somehow stigma.
So
within,
difficult,
like,
yes.
yeah, so difficult that they don't want to do it. And coming out of it, it's always better for them, for most of us, to understand what are the benefits you get by doing so and how it works.
Yeah, I mean, see, the benefit is this, that when you can't say a yes, why can't you say? Because you have already committed your time, resources, or other resources to other priorities, right? So the benefits are that those priorities get served, which you have already chosen to do, okay? Now you can reprioritize, but you can't do both, okay? So it makes you more clear about your objectives and achieving those objectives. That's the power of saying no, for example, beyond the art of saying no. The other power of saying no is this, that you manage your time much better, because you know exactly. It's like actually you having a mental calendar, or actually on your phone nowadays everybody has a smartphone, so you can actually put over there, call with Charles, and I think a lot of us do that nowadays. It's not about just the official meetings.
True.
Because we need to manage our time. Then we know, okay, do I have time now to take my wife out or my kids out for whatever, for example. So we manage our time much better. We are then also seen as more accountable, or rather I would say very good in accountability. And this flows all across, beyond, in the workspace as well as in your personal space. I think the respect that you get from your family members also goes up. Yes, it takes some time because you have to say no sometimes, but over a longer period of time, and life is about a little bit longer stretch of time, not just about one incident here that you made somebody feel hurt or anything. Respecting somebody is a continuous thing, but making somebody feel hurt or happy is a little bit temporary thing, right? So sometimes you say no, so that in a longer term, you actually make that person more happy.
True.
Yeah. For example, if I say no to my wife, and she will feel unhappy probably for maybe accompanying her for something tomorrow, but on another hand, if I let her know that I've already committed to so and so, and if this is important that we go out together than meeting the person, I think she will understand which one is more important. Okay, because after all, she is my partner. And vice versa. If it is more important that I go with her, I will change. I will call up this guy and say, I'm so sorry, Vinay, okay, there is something that has come up. And I do it not at the last minute. I do it because I had this conversation with my wife when she said we should go out for this. And so this is where, like you mentioned, vulnerability. Vulnerability, I think, in another episode we have talked about this. To me, it's a great power to share vulnerability. So, and then only you can say no. Because you are not vulnerable by saying no. You are being realistic. You are, planning your time better. You are planning your energy better, for example, because you are not, diffusing your energy levels by feeling a little bit guilty and, oh, what should I tell him? How should I explain? You are clear. You are efficient. You have a good relationship with everybody that you have given any commitment, because both yes and no are commitments.
True.
You're supposed to live by that, right? So it's not that only yes is a commitment, or it's not that there's the intention that I will do, it's okay, fine, I will do it. That's not a commitment, actually. That's an intention. So we have to step out from this world of intentions, okay, only being good, and to actually kind of plan our resources and then say yes. If not, I can say, look, give me half an hour's time, or if it is something a little bit different as a contest, give me till tomorrow, I'll come back to you at 5 o'clock. And then you put a reminder, before 5 o'clock, I have to give a commitment to Vinay. So I then put over the time that I need 1 hour's time to work out, okay, whether I can give commitment, yes or no. So this whole, aspect of planning and
Being more
detailing,
organized.
getting into the details, this comes through this, to me at least, broadly speaking, this comes through this industrial society that the West has gone through for several hundred years. We are going through it now, okay? And it's a mix of services, industry. But yes, whether it's services or industrial society, everywhere you are transacting and you have to give commitments, yes or no. Both are fine.
Now that we have seen the benefits of saying no, my next question is, on theory it's correct, we have to say no. But what's the art of doing it? How do you do it? How do you say no? What are the steps you take? Like, how about the approach you take in terms of saying no?
Well, first of all, you need to, I would say, be proud of yourself as a professional. And by pride, I definitely differentiate from being arrogant about it. So pride means that, I'm aware of my competencies and I hold myself accountable for delivering on my competencies. So that pride about who am I is I think, primary. Once I have that pride, obviously I also feel the responsibility. Because if I find myself behaving irresponsibly, my pride is shattered. So that pride is important as a professional. And I think almost everybody that we meet nowadays, whether a lady or a gentleman, man or woman, they're all professionals. They're all very educated. But do they feel proud about themselves, about their knowledge, about their competence? Okay? And related to, accountability, whether they are saying yes and delivering, and whether they are not able to say yes because they can't deliver. Now, any professional, you ask that, can you give me an engine which gives me, 10 horsepower more, but it has to cost 25% less, okay, will not say yes. Maybe it's not a no also, but will say, give me 1 month's time. Let me do my research and come back to you. So, compacting it to everyday kind of communication, if I can't say yes because I've not worked it out, I don't know, I have to have a look at my calendar, I have to see whether I have the time, do I have the resources, do I have the knowledge, do I have to talk to somebody to give this commitment, and when I can't, I say, sorry, I can't do it. Okay.
You go about explaining why no, or you just stick to no politely and direct?
No, see, I mean, it varies from context to context. If it is as simple as that, you say, Amit, can we meet up on Monday at 3:30, and I know I can't, then I say, I won't even call it politely or rudely. I say, of course, there's a manner of speaking in English, there's the British language and there's a global language. So I say, sorry, Vinay, I'm sorry, I can't make it at 3:30 p.m. Okay? Which is a no, which is as good as a no. There's nothing less. But I was clear saying, sorry, I can't meet you. Okay? Instead of saying, oh, let me try, I think I should be able to do that, that's getting fuzzy. Okay? If I say like that, it means I have to come back to Vinay saying, yes, Vinay, I'm going to meet you.
Yeah.
So, saying the no, as far as the word is concerned, you don't have to say no. Okay? You have to say, no, I can't meet you. So your tone, your body language is part of your communication, in fact, a larger part of your communication. So if I say, sorry, Vinay, I can't meet. But if I say, I think I can't make it, I have to still better it by looking into it and still remove this think out of it and say, no, sorry, I can't make it.
Well, setting boundaries and clear understanding about your mindset and prioritizing help in terms of getting this context set.
Yeah, also, because if I get where you are leading towards or thinking about is that when we say a lot of yeses, we obviously overcrowd not just our time but also our mental resources. And we need time to not just, apply our mind to whatever we have said yes to, but we also need time to re-energize our mind. which is what I call the white time or the me time, that everybody needs to plan in a calendar. So I should not definitely eat up my white time and say yes, because then I fail to energize myself, and that is what leads to stress. Because I've taken on more than I can chew, for example. So commitment towards whatever you have planned is not about constant reprioritization. You do reprioritize once in a while for sure, okay? And everybody, as I always said, and I believe, that everybody is intelligent enough to know what is the priority. But then act upon it, okay? Change your calendar, change your plans, and say no if you have to say.
In today's dynamics and cross-cultural workforce, how does saying no strengthen the relationship across?
That's a good question. I mean, some may say, okay, does it strengthen or weaken the relationship? I think it strengthens the relationship once you deliver on the no. See, we are used to delivering on a yes, but you also are delivering on a no, and no means no. And when you've delivered on it, and the next time the same person sees that you deliver on a yes also, your relationship is actually stronger. Okay. For us Indians, hearing the words no from even another Indian colleague or friend is initially maybe uncomfortable. But then, because they are colleagues or friends, we're not parting immediately after one no. There will be other transactions. And in the other transactions, when there's a yes, and when you deliver on the yes, whatever uncomfortability you caused because of the no, because of the culture, okay, I think gets covered up. Because then the person understands that he did not say no to deny me something or to kind of make me feel lesser or less important or etc. But he said, and you get a chance to explain it also. Yeah, so the resentment will come if somebody is holding that against you. But if you explain that this is why I cannot do it, and leave it there. Like I say, the reiterating your arguments does not make an argument more powerful. You explain once, as recently as you can, okay? Which is basically an argument to the receiver that this is why he says no. Now, I may have an argument that this is high priority. Why can't Vinay change his priorities? Okay? I can ask you. If I ask this, you can say, no, this is more priority for me. I'm sorry, Amit. Okay. We have to find another time to do this. So there has to be conversation. And as a leader, you have the right or you have the power, you have the width of how much you want to have a conversation about. And even if you leave me disgruntled, with a bad taste in my mouth or in my ear, you will come back. You're not going to disappear. I'm not going to disappear from your life. Next time, maybe I may be wooden to you. I may be, cold a bit, etc. But then you say, hey, guy, come on, since I had to say no, I couldn't do that. I know you felt bad. So what do I do now? I mean, yeah, I did feel bad, but, because it was very important. And what do you say? So, you deal it as normal life. But don't change the no to yes. Because then you have to change much more things around that yes. You have to work backwards with somebody else, where you have given a commitment of your time and your focus. So do you want to, you either leave somebody with resentment on this side or on the other side. Both you have to handle. And both are important to you. But if one is more important, then you know where to say no and where to say yes. It's your call.
As an anecdote, there was a scenario where one person was telling no multiple number of times for genuine reasons, but then she was not able to come up with a yes for various factors. And when the next equation, when it came by, and she happened to say yes, even then she actually didn't want to go about it.
Okay.
So on these scenarios, what was the missing link?
Well, the missing link, the fix we can come later, but the missing link is deeper because, and particularly the example that you bring up, the missing link over here is that she became unsure of herself. Okay, can she say another no or not?
Was it guilt? What was it?
Yeah, it can be guilt. It can be that, she so badly wants to continue this relationship that she wants to bring in one yes. And now, the point is this, that this individual needs to bolster a conviction about when I have to say a no, it is a no. Now, I think in real life, you don't have these long conversations before you say a no or a yes. And using the same example of what you said, I think it's a very real life example probably, and not necessarily from a woman to another person, whether man or woman, it can be a man too also.
Sure.
So we're not getting in the other aspects of a woman having to say yes, after a lot of no's only. It could be a man too. So the point is this, that see, as human beings, we are a bundle of emotions, and sometimes our emotion just simply overflows. And the decision we take, or when we say this yes instead of we wanting to still say a no after so many no's, is basically an overflowing of our emotion, or rather not being in control of our emotions. And this decision is an emotional decision, not a rational decision. And we all know that as human beings, we do live a cocktail of both emotional and rational decisions. And when that happens, we can only correct it. And earlier we correct is better. Otherwise we go down that lane and we find it very difficult to get out of that.
There's also a certain mindset which people go by saying that, by saying yes, I attract more opportunities. The moment I say no, the opportunities taper down, it won't come my way. What's your take on that?
Yes, it's a very nice example you bring in again. The point is this, that, the opportunities are there, out there, kind of, like little blips of light as hanging in the darkness of future, the unknown. Whereas the no, if you have to say, is about which is today, where you have absolute clear view about what you can do or you cannot do. Okay. Now, if you say yes because you want to have a chance at one of those dancing lights as opportunities out in the unknown, you're putting at risk. One, you're taking a risk whether one of those options will mature for you or not, as something that motivates you. But you are also putting at risk what you will compromise with today because of those unknown potentials or possibilities. It's your call. Do you want to put at risk what you have in one hand? Or you want to, let it drip through and still go for those opportunities dancing in unknown out there? It's your call. If you think it's okay to sacrifice this or compromise on this, but it opens up better opportunities for me, it's absolutely the right thing to do. I mean, I've done this myself in my life, and I'm sure you have done it too. And sometimes it has played out to our advantage, sometimes it has not. But then I cannot go back into a hole and I lost what I had. I took that as a calculated risk, and managing growth or evolution of your life overall is about some risks, is about the potentials in the unknown, and that's what makes life more interesting, for example.
On this note, does this qualify the scenarios like people will think me as mean, very curt, and they will not come for me for help as myths when we say no to someone?
Yeah, I mean, see, the point is this, that should I live a life of meeting these endless expectations of others? Should I lead a life of trying to fit into how others want to perceive me, or I perceive that they want to perceive me as, all the perceptions anyway? Or I choose my way depending on where I want to be and why I want to be there. Now, if my why I want to be there is about keeping happy people around me, I'm fighting an endless battle of pleasing so many people. And some people do lead such lives, for sure. And I can't say that they are wrong. I can't say that. But in the context of leadership, in the context of organizational life, obviously you can't have a situation where you're trying to please everybody. Well, you can't do that. You have to be accountable for what you've committed. And that's where I think the question comes in and left, whether you say a no or a yes. But if you widen it to our life, then there are other aspects. I mean, I have no right to say that why shouldn't somebody lead a life of pleasing their family members, pleasing even their boss or team members. That's not my job. I can only qualify that if you're in the business of giving commitments, then when you can't say a yes, you better say a no and ask for some more time. And then again say a no when you realize that you don't have the resources to deliver it. But don't give hope. That doesn't work. Don't also just try to prove that you did your best and yet I could not deliver. No, that's not a professional's life, sorry.
With your experience in your careers, decades of experience, have you come across instances where it was very critical that this worked in somebody's favor?
Yes, absolutely. I can say it even from the other side. When some of my colleagues, both from my team as so-called juniors or my seniors, when they said a no, initially I did feel, kind of as an unpleasant experience. But when they delivered on the yeses later on, I valued their no's because I knew I could depend upon them. So in fact, actually the trust levels for me went much higher with these people, with my colleagues, as I said, whether juniors or seniors, because I could trust them. I knew that, when they said a no, it meant a real no, and when they said a yes, they delivered upon it. And it also, made me do the same. It also gave me this feeling of comfort that I can say no when I can't say yes, for example. So it brought our relationship to a much stronger, trustful level than it was in the past.
Can you give me one more analogy where it went south and it didn't work out, and the kind of factors affected when they continue accepting more than what they can chew?
Well, we used to do projects, engineering projects, where engineers and managers from India as well as Germany had to work together. And sometimes the customer-facing manager would be from India, sometimes it could be from Germany or US, particularly, or UK. Now, this was the manager who was handling the commitments to the customer. Okay. And of course, these commitments that he was giving on behalf of the company, not just personally his own. But if these commitments are not delivered against, his reputation, he loses face in front of the customer, right? So when he found that a commitment given from, whether it was a German colleague or an Indian colleague, was not lived up to, okay, life became very difficult for him, very difficult for him. Now what does he do? He cannot fire any of these colleagues. He cannot change the attitudes overnight. So in fact, I still remember in real time that this was brought up in one of our workshops that we did for the managers, for example. And everybody took it very seriously. And the conclusion then came that the project management should rely sincerely on resource planning, both time, not just cost planning, for example, not only the engineering details, but particularly time planning. And also, the Indian mindset was where they were not planning too much of contingencies. The German mindset was they were planning contingencies. They were, the German or the North European culture is that they have scheduled vacations. We are yet to schedule our vacations and have it year after year at the same time, for example, because our climate is flexible. We can have vacations whenever we want, more or less. And it's still new to have vacations. So it's like, I'm giving the example of vacations because you get used to planning even your vacations, right? So this brought in more contingency planning in the timelines. We are talking about projects which are typical lead times of nothing less than 12 months, so 12 to 18 months. So having this contingency planning was a new learning for my Indian team, for example. And, they actually ended up doing much better after this particular workshop and actually delivering on it. And then people got this sense of pride that, when we say we will deliver on the 51st week, they actually were ready by the 50th week.
That's amazing. That's pretty deep in terms of understanding how important it is to say no, and especially we being Indians and the way we are groomed culturally, it becomes more so important that we learn this art. And the art of saying no is very relevant to today's day and age, where globalization and cross-cultural workforce is pretty dominant. And your thoughts on it, Amit? I mean, we can conclude it once you share your final words.
Well, I would say, the missing link is essentially to shift from banking on your intentions or making others respect your intentions to banking on your commitments and making others respect that you have done your resource planning, your time planning, and then you've given a commitment. So it's, nobody is going to, you are accountable not for your intentions, you're accountable for the results you deliver, the commitments you give and deliver against those. So it's important to have good intentions because it is the human side to you, and I think we are very, very human people, we are very good people all across, but we have different cultures, so we need to learn this new way of being accountable for our commitments, not accountable about our intentions. We have to shift from intentions to commitments. That's what I would say. And many have done, and they have succeeded like hell, and they're highly respected, and I'm sure that many will be able to do that.
Learn to say no. The art of saying no is always working in your favor. This is something which we all have to start doing from here onwards. Thank you so much, Amit, for this lovely podcast and insights.
Thank you. It was lovely.
Do sign up for our channel, hit the bell icon, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.